Okay, that's fine. So now we have the context that it's being printed. And in a for loop, you are directly printing down the context. So what I want to do here is, if the context is a native app, or if the context is not a native app, then switch to that. So if context dot equals to, okay, if this context is equals to native app, okay, native app. So I want to switch to the context basically. So driver dot context of this context, whichever the context value is there, set to it and break the loop to. So what my objective is, I am already on a native app. So my requirement is, if the context value is other than native, whichever the value is there, set your context to that. So it means switch from native to that particular context, whichever it's being written in, and then complete it and then break that particular loop. So here, what are we doing right now? We are just terminating the loop in such a way that other than whatever the native app values are there in a context, we are asking our program to switch to that particular context. Okay, we are asking our program to switch to that particular context. That's what the most important thing is. And then once we are done up to here, then the next point that we need to consider here is, what exactly I'm doing right now means to cross check whether we were navigated to the page or not. Driver dot get current URL. So here system.out.println, I am asking my program to get the current URL. Okay, and then terminate the program. That's fine. I just want to terminate my program. So it means to cross check whether the context got switched to the web view or not. Here we are using a get current URL method. The significance of the get current URL is, this get current URL will work on a web page. Whatever the URL of that particular web page is there, it will return that particular URL. So when I run my test script as a Java application, if you see now, whichever the URL of the bing.com is there, this program should return that a bing.com URL. Let us see now. Okay, let us see whether it is retrieving that a bing.com URL or not. So I just selected the standard user web view and entering the credentials, go to the site, and here it will wait for a few seconds. It will get the context. So see here, this is what the context is. And after this context, as it is not a native view, it switched to the context and it came out from that loop, and even it printed the URL of that particular web page too. Whichever the URL is there, it switched to that web page. So this is a one way of handling. The other way of handling this one is, if context dot equals to, then these two lines are common. Switch to the context and break it. Okay, so this is what my context is. If your context value is a webview.chrome.com dot something, or even I can use a equals to here, or even I can use a contains and directly give a web view also. Either of these things will work. Either equals to, or I can add a contains and I can just add a web view also. If my context contains a web view, then switch to that view. Both the logics are one and the same. So the reason, we will be picking this not equals to is, this is the most commonly used one. But if at all we encounter any issues with respect to the views, to get rid of those things, either you will be using this one, or the other solution is a context dot contains. You can use a contains method, and that will be getting down the appropriate context for you. Okay, so let us see this particular stuff now. It should get the context, and of course it will be printing down that information. So logical ways, we just changed one line of a code, but execution wise the script would be one and the same. The script execution, it doesn't have a much impact on that execution. Okay, it doesn't have a much impact on that particular execution. Good. So this is the way how exactly we can switch the view. But one thing is, upon switching to the view, it's not like that, we can just print the title or we can just do some random operations. So it's our requirement, okay, it's our requirement to perform some operations on that particular application which it's being opened, right? In order to perform certain operations, what I am doing right now means, let me try to, okay, what I can do on a bing.com. Na? So here, uh, go to this application and then go to this screen, basically log in, go to the web view, and the URL is https www.bing.com. I navigated to the bing.com. So I know Bing is a public website where I can find bing.com, and directly I can get these bing.com official locators from here. As of now, I'm getting the bing.com locator from here itself. So right click, inspect. So okay, so here move it to the footer, and I'm just changing it to Galaxy Fold or a Galaxy S5, whichever it might be. I just changed it to that particular instance. And now I'm trying to identify my text field. My text field is having an ID property. So / input open braces at the rate ID is equal to, I have specified my XPath. Go back to the program here, and after switching the context to that particular view, then driver dot find element by XPath, and I want to enter a value out over there, and I'm entering, okay, let me try here, Libby. Libby courses. Okay, I just entered this value here. That's it, guys. This is a simple point that we have entered. Let me try to run my test script and whether it is entering a value there or not. So here, let me directly run my test script, run as a Java application, and let us see this execution, how it's being performing that action. Okay, executing, and let it run. It will get the title. See here, Libby courses. It entered that particular value into that text field. And after that, you may need to perform a click operation on this button. Na? So identify the button. This button is having this one basically. So / label open braces at the rate of fur is equal to, I'm just writing down the XPath for that button. Copy the XPath, go back here, and driver dot find element by XPath dot click operation. I just want to perform a click operation on that. That's it. So I just want to view the search results too. So upon entering a value, I just want to perform a click operation on that too. So it will be performing that operation. So let us see here how it's going to do. So I'm just observing my here, this instance. And see here basically. So this is the way how exactly you need to define it. Okay, how exactly you need to define that. So of course, the script got executed successfully without having any issues. Okay, any questions on this one so far? So this is the way how exactly we can deal with it. Okay, so we just need to pass on the required instances here, and automatically it will be performing the desired operations on that. Okay, automatically that will be performing the desired operations on that. That's it. Okay, so this is the way how exactly we can identify. And immediately a quick question will rise in our mind. Surendra, this is a Bing.com, a generic application. That's the reason you have identified the locators on this particular browser directly. But in the real world, whenever we are working on our projects, we don't have our application URL for these situations. Then how we need to deal with that situation, right? So if at all you have an application URL, you can directly open it and you can identify. If you don't have any application URL, how you are going to open it? So here the thing is basically there is a one URL, so which is Chrome inspect devices. So this one, what it will display is basically on this particular emulator. Okay, what are all the mobile instances are there, in which what are all the web views are there. This one will pull out all the web views. In the Chrome inspect devices, it is stating that, buddy, on this particular mobile device, I can view a web view. This is the web view is, this is the trace. This web view contains this URL. Would you like to inspect that session? Yes, if you want to inspect it, click on an inspect. Automatically a dev tool instance will be populated. It will render your mobile phone and it will display the locator. So directly HTML information. You can select the locator, you can identify the locators from here and you can pull it. So the key point here is basically this URL. If you use Chrome inspect devices, automatically it will be retrieving down the complete set of web view instances here. You need to identify the desired instance here, and on top of it, if at all you click on an inspect, it will open an instance for you with respect to that mobile instance, how the app looks like. And for that web view, the inspector will also be populated. You can directly select the element and you can perform your desired operations out over there. Okay, so this is the way in the real world how you identify the locators for this web view. So you will be navigating to this URL, and the mobile whichever is connected to your machine, followed by the types of instances whatever you have. And on these types of instances, it will be, giving you an option to inspect. You can directly click on an inspect. Automatically the session will be established, and the locators, just like a HTML information, will be populated where you can identify any locator and you can use these locators in your program. Okay, you can use these locators directly in your program. That's it. This is the simple way how exactly we can deal with it. Any questions for
Surinder,
me? Yeah,
yeah,
Gopal.
Surinder, I have a question. Suppose you have switched to the web view, right? So
Hmm.
and done some activities. So after doing some activity on the web view, if I want to go back to the native app and do some activity, then how we can do it?
You can switch back the context again, basically. Okay, so here, as of now, in the current situation, what are you doing right now? So you are just switching the context from the native view to the web view. Until and unless you specify that the context should set to the web native view, it will be on a web view itself. It's mandatory for you to pass on that particular context again to switch back to the native view and to perform that particular operations. So the simple thing is, in a WebDriver also, whenever a new window got opened, you will switch back to the new window, switch to the new window, you will perform. And if at all you are done from there, and if you want to come back to the main window, you will be switching back to the previous window and you need to perform the operations, right? The same way, you just need to switch the context again to the native app, and then you can perform that particular operations. Okay, so
Okay.
you just need to switch back to deal with that situations. Okay, good. Gopal, Venkat, Venu, any questions for me on this? This is the way how we will be dealing with a hybrid app. So here, you will navigate here. This will gives you the devices instances, and then automatically whichever the instances you want, you can just open it and you can deal with it.
One question, Surendra.
Yes.
From WebView to native view, if the switch means we will be in which screen, then it will be in home screen or
The previous instance itself, whichever the previous screen is there on that particular app, it will switch to that particular previous screen itself. So first, suppose if at all you are here and you can click on a back button, and then you just need to switch back to that instance. Whenever you set the context, that context will be there on a same screen, which from where it switched to a web view, Venkat. The reason is here we are not specifying any activities to go back to the first screen or something, right? Whichever the screen we were there earlier, it will switch back to that the same screen instance itself.
Okay.
Okay. And certain applications, so this is not required for all the applications, and for certain applications automatically, if at all in what I can say, so here this is the screen, so what I can say is this is the screen. Assume that as of now this application was designed in this way that you perform operations on this screen, the web view, you need to come back to this particular view. But the scenarios that I have told you earlier, where in a real world applications will have a web view, one scenario is a login scenario, and the second scenario is that particular payment gateway. So if at all consider that your application is having a login screen on a native login screen on a web view, upon clicking on a login button, automatically the application is rendering to the native app screen, and it will take you to the native app. In such scenarios, explicitly you no need to write down a command to switch your context. The reason is, upon handling the operation on that particular context, so after entering the username and a password, clicking on a login button, the app itself is rendering its state from a web view. The app state itself is changing to the native view. In such situations, you no need to explicitly call to switch to that particular native view. Whereas certain applications, if at all you are performing doing and back and forth operations on that particular instances, in such situations itself, explicitly you need to call out to switch to the native view. Got it, Gopal, Venkat, the situation here. So the order payment gateway screen, basically, if you click on a pay now, once after you enter the credit card details in a web view, it will automatically redirect you to the app order details screen. So it means the instance itself was automatically killed by the application, and it will land you to the application dashboard screen. In such situations, explicitly, you no need to write down a command to switch that particular instance. Okay, in such situations, you no need to write down that particular command. Automatically, Appium will deal that particular stuff. As the app itself is rendering and navigating, it will not do any of those chunks at all. Got it, Gopal, Venkat, and Venu, about this
Yeah.
particular instance switching?
Yeah.
Okay. And the least preferred application automation that we may do is a web automation on a mobile that we were not at all doing in a real world. Okay. So we will not do this one, basically a direct web automation. Okay. Like what I can say is opening a Chrome browser on the mobile device and navigating all those things. We will not do such kind of a mobile automation at all. So if at all they are asking you in an interviews how exactly you are dealing that particular capabilities, instead of specifying the application level capabilities, you just need to pass on the browser name capability. Automatically, the respective browser will be launched. So what I am doing right now means, see here, I deleted all these commands. Okay, and I deleted these capabilities also. And here what I'm doing now means, so I want to launch a browser on my mobile. So this is directly a web app, not a native or a hybrid app. Basically, I just want to launch my Chrome browser on that. So directly I can pass on my Chrome capabilities here. So driver.set capability, browser name as a Chrome. And here I don't want to get the dimensions also. After creating an object, I need to open a bing.com. So driver.get https www.bing.com. bing.com. If I specify this one, this will be directly opening up a browser on that particular mobile, and it will perform operations on that mobile browser app, which we are considering it as a web app directly. It's not a hybrid app, basically it will be a web app. Okay, it's not a hybrid app, basically it's a web app. See here, so we are getting some internet connectivity issues, but the Chrome browser was launched, and some value whatever we have entered that particular value also on that particular browser. Okay, it entered that particular value also on that browser. It performed that operation too. Okay, it performed that operation too. So this is the way. So how exactly we can open this app, and certain situations, most frequently the encountered issues in a real world are switching to a web app. So why we are encountering those issues is, assume that you might have a connected your real device. Okay, assume that you have a connected your real device. Whenever you have a connected your real device, probably your Chrome version is 74 or 75 or a bit older versions of Chrome that you are using in your mobile. And Appium has almost all the latest exe files. So Appium does not have the Chrome version that you are using in your mobile. So in such situations, it will face an issue to establish a connection with that. In such situations, the only solution that you need to do is, you just need to explicitly download that particular Chrome browser exe file, and you need to place that exe file in the WebDriver exe files location, sorry, in the Appium driver exe files location. That's the only thing, but which is the least commonly encountered issues. Okay, that's the least commonly encountered issues. Okay, so here, this is the thing how exactly we need to switch to the web view and what are all the various issues and solutions. So with that note, the other scenario, whatever you asked me, so these are all the various scenarios that we have on an Android app. Okay, these are all the various scenarios that we have on an Android.